Hi guys, so cars are really important to older people, particularly when it comes to health benefits. Oh yeah, this is based on a study that has just come out from Japan. And I'll tell you everything that it has to say about it right after this.
A brown car guy. Brown car guy.
Right then, so this is on Waseda, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, Waseda, Waseda University in Japan. And there's an article on the website. It says, ability to drive a car influences the quality of life of older adults in Japan. This is what it's saying. And of course, this data can obviously be extrapolated to apply to people around the world, as the report will actually say. But let me just go through this with you. Let me put up this graphic, which is absolutely fascinating. So you can take a look at this. Meanwhile, old age is what the report says. Old age can restrict mobility, which can negatively impact the ability of older adults to access basic needs and stay connected to their social network. So this study by researchers from this university has revealed that car ownership in older adults is associated with several positive indicators of the quality of life. The research suggests that shared autonomous vehicles, the reason they talk about shared autonomous vehicles is basically that's what this report was for. It was to talk about how autonomous vehicles could actually improve or help elderly people. And just putting up a poll on my own YouTube channel, on this YouTube channel. If you go to the community section, I put up a poll there. And it wasn't really in favor of autonomous cars, I'll be honest, because the question I asked, would you trust a car that drives itself? Let me just refresh that because I think it's a lot more people now. Yes, indeed, it's gone up to 5,300 people vote, or 5,300 votes on this, and it's overwhelming. 83% say they will never trust a car that drives itself. However, to be fair, 4% said yes, and 13% said in time. So there's an understanding there that technology is maybe still not quite there, which is what I say. I reckon that technology, the proper fully autonomous car is probably at least a decade away, if not a little bit more. So people say in time, that's 13%. So you combine that, that's quite a bit that actually would be open to the idea, it seems. But going back to this research, like I said, it's fundamentally, it was about looking at autonomous vehicles as a possible solution to helping with the mobility crisis that they've termed for older Japanese adults. So what else does it say? Physical health and cognitive function declines as we age. Oh, we all know that, don't we? Aging impacts people's ability to perform routine tasks, which affects their well-being and sense of independence. I've got to say, I've just got to pause here because, as you guys know, I've been doing a lot of coverage around ULEZ, and I've been going to a lot of the protests and a lot of the events. And one of the things that's really struck me is talking to older people that turned up to these protests. You know, some of which said the first time they've ever gone to a protest, some of which have come from quite a far distance. And some of the conversations I had were quite eye-opening. And many of them, you know, said to me, well, you know, my car is my independence. The car that I own currently, usually a diesel, they bought because the government told them about, you know, just decade and a half ago, that that was the way to go. And they figured, okay, well, this is the car that will see me out. And now all of a sudden, that car can't be used, or it's subject to a ULEZ charge. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? You know, this is what I use to go around, to see my friends, to get to the clubs, to go to my health appointments, to give me mobility, to give me independence, to help me get shopping, you know, to see my grandchildren, you know. So all of these aspects come into it, and suddenly many of them are despondent because they're like, well, if you take away the car from me, then what is there left, you know? You know, as one lady said, when I said, well, what will you do if you can't use your car? And she said, I'll jump off the roof. I urged her not to do that, but it just shows you the gravity and of the sense of loss, of losing a car when you're at that point in life. So they talked about this in this report, just picking it up again. One such routine activity that is frequently affected is driving. This is as a result of older age. So I'm going to skip over, you know, the fact that driving becomes an issue because that's not what we're looking at. Obviously, they're looking at it because they're trying to promote the possibility of autonomous vehicles to replace that. But what we want to look at here, the study found that car ownership among older adults in Japan is strongly related to several positive indicators of well-being. For example, car ownership was associated with higher self rated health status. That makes sense because it means that you can do your doctor's appointments. Also, I would say the fact that you're able to go yourself to independently for your checkups and for your fitness classes or whatever it is that you're doing, then that's important. So just to continue, associated with higher self-rated health status, greater number of years lived in the current municipality, and better working status. So it also gives the opportunity for some people to continue working, which, to be honest, like me myself, I don't think I'd ever retire. I think I'm just going to keep working until one day I'm not here anymore. I think that's how it would be. Anyway, who can afford to retire these days? Older adults who owned at least one car experienced a higher level of independence and a greater positive attitude towards giving and receiving help, including running errands, compared to those who do not own a car. And then this actually echoes some of those conversations that I've had, where some of these people said that they actually do charity work or run errands or help other people out, this sort of stuff, because they have a car and because they're mobile. And of course, this makes you feel good, right? And it gives you positivity and it gives you, a reason to get up in the morning and to get on with your day, right? Which is what all of us really want. So just to emphasize that although this report is from Japan, but this applies around the world, not only anecdotally, as I've just said from conversations I've had, but the report says countries around the world are grappling with challenges caused by an aging population due to falling birth rates. Although the phenomenon is especially acute in Japan. In fact, in Japan it's quite skewed because the birth rate is much lower in Japan than it is in other countries. And Japanese research or Japanese experience suggests that the more developed a country is, the slower the birth rate actually gets and the older the population gets. So there is an urgent need to develop technology to improve the quality of life of an aging population and that mitigates the impacts of population aging. There's another figure here that I just wanted to give you. The United Nations World Population Prospects 2022 projected that by 2050, the global population of people older than 64 will be more than twice that of children under 5. That is to say that if you were to put them on a balance, it'd be skewed more towards older people. So therefore, countries with an aging population must quickly adapt. So this is basically what this report is saying, and then it goes on obviously to talk about AV, as they call them, autonomous vehicles, and how they could help that. But the point that I wanted to extrapolate from this report and to bring to you was until now we've anecdotally, I can't get that word. I wish I could speak sometimes, but anecdotally, I have often said how important a car is to mental health, and also now it seems to physical health. And this report underlines that, corroborates that, and proves that. And I think that this is another reason that we need to look at all of these anti-car policies that are being introduced where we are, such as ULEZ, NTN, LTNs, 20 miles per hour limits, etc., even emissions-based parking and stuff like that, and reevaluate them in terms of there should be some sort of cost-benefit analysis in terms of, what perceived harm it might be doing to the air quality and the environment versus the perceived harm it might be doing to the actual population that needs these vehicles. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts on this matter, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Brown car guy.
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video as well if you can. And while you're at it, check out these guys who also sponsor my content. I am deeply grateful to them because it helps me to buy new equipment, put fuel in the cars, and yes, buy a cup of coffee. You can do the same. Just go here or right here on YouTube. Just hit these 3 little dots down here and click on thanks. Make sure you're signed in first. My content is free, but this is how you can help me keep it that way. I may even send you a gift. Oh, by the way, watch this next.